Every January, I love to watch these little year in review videos. One of my favorites is from Vox Media. Being the video nerd I am, I geek out on well-done pieces like this.
The world will mark an important milestone as the global population surpasses 8 billion people.
And as I watched it this year, I was reminded of how sheltered we are here in Pagosa Springs from the chaos of the world, from the chaos of crowded cities and suburbia.
Hey, where do you think you're going? Going home.
The mountains here in southwest Colorado have become this escape from that chaos. It's a place of refuge, peace, and fulfillment. The beauty here slows things down. It helps us reflect on what's really important in life. So before we get into the chaos of the real estate market, let's escape for a moment into these mountains. This is why we live here. I know many of you agree and want to know more about buying a place here in southwest Colorado, so let's jump right into it. If you remember my last report in early October, I mentioned that come December, we start to see the effects of 7% interest rates on the market. And here's what happened. The number of buyers dried up, which is why we only had 17 closings in December, a drop of 53% compared to last year, and a drop of 58% compared to the previous 5-year average. In fact, it's never been this low for the month of December. Usually when buyer demand starts to dry up, sellers start to lower their prices, and they are. From our peak in May 2022, sellers are now receiving only 95.5% of their list price. Currently, 67% of active listed homes under $1 million in PLPOA have reduced their prices. But that doesn't necessarily mean that values are falling. It could be that sellers simply overpriced their homes, which many did. So let's take a look at the median price over the course of 2022. In February, we hit a record low for active inventory, which caused the median price for a home here to peak to $720,000 in May. It was here where the market started to drastically change. Mortgage rates rose at the fastest pace ever, nearly doubling in just a few months. As a result, the median price dropped from $720,000 to $557,000 in just 5 months, a decrease of 23%. Then something interesting happened in September. Many of us expected the market to continue to drop, but instead the median price began to rise. And in December 2022, we landed at a median price of $680,000, only 6% lower than our peak in May and 6% higher than December 2021. So how do we explain that? At a time where interest rates cause mortgage payments to increase over $1,000 a month for a median-priced home here. Shouldn't the median price be dropping, since this effectively forces buyers to seek out lower-priced properties? Certainly, a lower volume of homes plays a part, but let's see if price per square foot shows the same pattern. Our most reliable data set we have is 322 single-family homes under 2,000 square feet in the PLPOA area. In January, we started out at a PSF of 345. We reached a peak in April at 389. It quickly dropped to 306 in September and then reached 354 in November, which had 7 closings for this category, whereas in December we had 0 closings, which should tell you something. My initial thought was that new builds caused the recent rise in PSF since they typically finish up in the fall, but only 2 of those 7 closings in November were built in 2022. If we take those out, the average PSF drops to 349, still showing an increase over September. So what gives? 2 theories. First thought, new listings. New listings reached a record low in 2022. In fact, during the month of December, there were only 8 new house listings. We've never been in the single digits over the past 12 years for single-family residences. So let's dig in further. For 2022, we had 458 new home listings, down 4% from our previous low in 2012. 2012? What's 2012? Over the past 3 years as a whole, new listings are down 8% compared to the 5-year average before COVID started. So if you're a buyer and you're waiting for prices to come down, it's crucial to see new listings make up that 8% drop. That means an average of about 605 new listings a year for the next 3 years, or 694 new listings in just 1 year. If the market is flooded with that many listings, then prices will really start to drop. But I have a hard time seeing that happen. Keep in mind that homeowners are hesitant to give up those super low mortgage rates, and most of our homes here have no mortgage at all, which influences their need or desire to sell. So let's move on to my second thought, condition of home. I've stated this before, but decided to pull some data on it. The newer the home, the better the condition it tends to be in. The big problem here in Pagosa is that there are too many homes that are outdated. During the first 3 quarters of 2022, recent builds in PLPOA under $1 million made up only 14% of all sales, but during Q4, they made up 19% of all sales. There's currently 38 active listings and 13 listings under contract. The homes under contract have a 15-year gap compared to active listings and have 11% higher PSF. Now that buyer demand has slowed down, this allows buyers to be more particular about what they want, and they're choosing updated homes that allow them to move in and not have to spend time at the hardware store, which helps bump up that median price. So the big question is, where do we go here in 2023? I've heard some pretty good arguments from both sides, those that think the market will crash and those that think the market will rise in 2023. My gut is telling me that prices will head lower, even though the data is telling us we're on the rise again. There's just too much current inventory on the market that is outdated, and it's going to take some price reductions to get those to the closing table. So for buyers, the key is to be patient. The problem though is that there's many investors on the sidelines, and once prices get close, they will pounce on it. In fact, over Christmas break, we had a buyer lose out in a bidding war to 2 other offers over a home that sat on the market for 5 months and finally came down to a more realistic price. So I think there's a definite floor to this market, and what could help sustain prices in our market is our local government. Let me explain here. There was a big article from Bigger Pockets the other day titled Airbnb Bust, the Fall of Short-Term Rentals. And in this article, they claimed that the supply of STRs this past year increased enough to offset the rise in bookings, which means more competition, which means less profits, which leads to losses, which will eventually cause a bust with many owners having to sell their STR, which increases the supply of homes for sale, which overall lowers the price of these homes in a buyer's market. What's interesting to me about this is that our local governments have already stepped in and prevented this potential Airbnb bust from happening. The town of Pagosa Springs capped their density limits over a year ago at 10%. No more new STRs in town. And Archuleta County currently has a moratorium in place, no more new STRs. And most STRs are located in Archuleta County. So instead of allowing the free market to play out and letting investors fail, our local officials will solidify current STR investments. So overall, here's how I would sum it up for buyers and sellers. Updated homes should have no problem selling at a fair price in this market. Outdated homes need to start reducing their prices to sell in this market, not just 1 or 2%, but 10 or more percent. But there is a floor here due to the housing shortage and builders pulling back. Once the market corrects itself and interest rates fall back into the low 5s, this market could reverse and act like a slingshot, rising very, very quickly. But that's nearly impossible to time right. Could be this summer, could be a year or 2 from now. No one really knows. All right, I want to end on this. I know I brought up the chaos of our world at the beginning, but I also want to bring up the good. And another video I like to watch every year is Google's Year in Search, and it showed many people like you and me quitting their jobs and pursuing their dreams.
Even though it's a risk and I don't know what's on the other side, I'm going to make a bet on myself.
I guess I'm kind of looking at this as a sort of rebirth opportunity.
I just quit my job and flew to Scotland with no money or plans or friends.
I know there's many of you out there sitting at home watching this market recap, dreaming of making the move here. And I want to encourage you that you can make it happen. You can quit, you can retire, you can make the move to the mountains. It was scary as hell to quit my job in Texas back in 2021 and move my family of 4 to Pagosa and begin the journey of working for myself. And I can say without a doubt, it was the right decision to escape the chaos of suburbia and sitting in rush hour traffic every day. So just do it. If you're motivated enough, you will find a way to make it happen. With that said, it's actually snowing outside, so I need to go experience the powder of Wolf Creek. So until next time, cheers Pagosa.